Welcome back to episode 4 of season 1 of the Family, Faith, Fitness. I think it's in that, I don't know what it is.
Faith, Family, Fitness
There it is.
podcast.
There it is.
Welcome, welcome.
Off the cuff. So we were getting some people saying, when is the next episode coming out? So Amanda's like, oh yeah. We need to get on that.
So Wednesday, here we are. Let's go.
We were just kind of talking before. I'm coming from a couple conference calls, and Wednesday is my day of study. I don't know when this is going to go live, but you've been coaching.
Yes,
So
just ended that. So today we're going to be kind of talking about family life and balance. And this is just a perfect example how we're balancing it all. Go from coaching, let's do a podcast.
Yeah, I think, though, one of the main questions that we get, probably, at least I do, more than any other, is like, how in the world do you and Amanda balance both leading organizations, like successful growing organizations, and 3 kids that are 11, 10, and 8.
We were just celebrating birthdays actually last week and this week, so we're getting used to the new numbers.
Yeah, the new numbers. We're probably wrong.
Yeah. No, I think we're right. It's 11, 10, and 8.
That's it.
Oh,
Right.
it's crazy. So yeah, we talk about that. And even a lot of my clients here, they're like, how do you go from teaching to coaching to being a mom and making it all work and a wife? It adds up. And so many of you are in the same boat. It may not look exactly the same, but we're all kind of navigating these waters. And we wanted to share how we have figured it out. It's not perfect. There's struggle times that we go through, but we've kind of found a groove that we'd love to share for sure.
I think that's important to know. Like, this is what, I mean, I think sometimes we've stumbled upon this. Like, it wasn't always this way. So when we have written down 4 things of why we think it's working. That doesn't necessarily mean that it would work for you. This is what works for us. I think that's an important caveat.
Yeah.
I also think, too, I think most people know that I'm a pastor, and it's not just a 9-to-5 job. I mean, we oftentimes talk about living in a glass house.
Yeah.
And the expectation that's on Amanda, even though I think the church that I serve at does a really good job, like not putting any extra pressure on you, there's still pressure on you to be a pastor's wife, a senior pastor's wife. So I think there's a lot of different things, too, that we'll talk about that probably won't apply to everybody, but I think this is the window people want to see is how it works and applies for us. Does that make sense?
It makes total sense. I don't always share that aspect in this realm of fitness and what I do here, but it is also a really huge piece of my life. And yeah, it'll be interesting to share that with everybody. And hopefully it encourages you and have a glimpse of
I think you might
glass house.
You might learn some of the things that we've done right, and then I think we'll be honest enough and tell you some of the things that we've done completely wrong. And where we are now is not where we were even a year ago. We're tweaking and twoking, as one of my mentors tells me to do oftentimes. So ready to get going?
Let's do it.
Here are the 4 things. So if you're, this is my pastor moment. If you're taking notes, jot this down.
I think it's helpful.
Here's number 1. This is how we found balance with everything. And number 1, first and foremost, is together we have set goals. And so I wrote, we have determined what was most important to both of us. And then we set out priorities for our careers, our family, our life. And then we make sure that we agree on those goals and priorities, and we adjust as necessary. So do you want to kind of give more of a window into what that looks like a little bit?
Yeah, I love that with us. I love that we're together in our decisions, and I have never felt like unsupported, like going forward. Because being a pastor's wife, being in the glass house, it's like, oh, well, she's going for this and she's doing this. And it just was awesome to be like, we're both on the same page. We're both supporting each other. Now, like, I'm not going to go climb Mount Everest next week. You know what I mean? But like, I have goals, but I also am realistic with the family we have and the business and the church. So it's awesome to be like, I don't have to put that aside. We together can achieve realistic goals together.
I
So,
think like part of it is like I don't legitimately don't feel like, oh, those are Amanda's goals for the business.
right.
And I don't think you feel like, oh, those are Jared's goals for the church or for his career. I mean, there are goals for the business. There are
Right.
goals for the church. I mean, yeah, you're leading this. You're the face of it, and I'm the face of that. But I don't feel like it's.
It's like separate
Yeah.
entities. It's,
This is what we talk
Yeah.
about. Like, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? And we
Right.
don't always agree with those things,
no,
but
yeah.
I legitimately feel like I'm just as much of a part as the
But
gym
he's
success.
the person I pick up the phone and be like, okay, I need you to process this with me. How would you handle this? And he always gives either the same perspective that maybe I look at it or a different perspective. And it really helps to have that person to go to. That's your spouse. I feel like that's such a gift for me to be able to be like, okay, he does have my best interest at heart.
Yep.
And it's hard because I don't always agree with what he says. So, and I have to realize what place he's coming from. And that's because we've had these goals together and we have the same,
Yeah.
I know he has my back.
So let's break that down a little bit. I think it's important. So when we talk about goals,
Yes.
like let's just be completely honest. Like there's financial goals that we have together as a family. Like, all right, we want to set up ourselves to this and we want to make sure our kids are taken care of and their college savings and our retirements and just net worth and all those types of things are goals that we have. And we're on the same page with that.
Right.
So that's huge. Like just so you know. So if I have to go away and speak at an event or doing some coaching, she knows at the end of I'm making money doing that, and the same thing is true for the business as well.
And that has helped me. I mean, when we had 3 kids under 3 at one time, and he was traveling all the time, and that was like a hard place for me to be in. So there are different seasons, and as we've matured together. Just realizing if you're talking about it and on the same page and knowing like he's not just out of town to be out of town. We have goals that he wants to be able to achieve, and me not being. I want to support that. It's not me being. I don't know the word for it. Like it's just
Resentful.
Yeah, resentful. That's the word.
But I also think though, like just learn from us. Like, was it smart for me to be away a bunch when we had 3 kids under 3 years of age? No. Like terrible decisions on my part, thinking that me doing this, going to this conference, doing that would propel my career. And looking back, like I don't think that was the case. I think that was just young ambition that didn't have clear communication with you about all those types of things. That we've learned, we've stumbled upon.
Totally learned.
So when we talk about like traveling now, I don't travel nearly as much as I used to, and that's on purpose because we have young kids and I want to be home as much as I can and growing organizations. But like those are some of the things that we've learned along the way.
Yeah, and it's cool because he's learned and I've learned because if I'm just going to be resentful of him, it's just going to put those boundaries up between us, and that just isn't healthy at all. So it's just we're figuring it out for sure.
So, I mean, clear goals like financially, but just like family life and dynamics and what we want to experience together as a family, we have goals for that. We have goals for our marriage. I mean, those are all things like we just talk about all the time of it's not just a one, like, are we spending enough time? Like all of those things kind of wrap themselves up in the goals and the priorities that we've set for each other. Fair enough to say?
Fair enough to say.
I think that's been probably the most important. Well, I might say that about every single point because.
Well, I feel like even like let's take having goals in any area of your life, whether you're a teacher, whether you're an athlete, even in the gym, you're just not coming to work out. What is your goal? That's what I try to do with all clients and even with our kids, like speaking, okay, what is your goal this next quarter? What can we achieve in this? It's not just, let's just get through this. Let's just get through this. So it's having that mindset with every area of our life, not just our family.
I also think that it's fun though, too. Like if you look back quarterly, I try to tell Amanda, even like personally for me in my profession, if you look week to week, sometimes it can be really discouraging.
That's helped me. You helped me with that because I'm like, if you even look month to month.
Yeah, but if you look like quarterly, or I told her on her dashboard, don't look week to week. Look from where you were February 2022 to February 2023, you're looking back and you're seeing a full year of growth and not a week to week or a month to month. Same thing is really important for the goals that we set for one another. Is if we just look week to week or month to month, that can be discouraging. You have to understand, and perspective changes everything. It's the overall arching thing, and then you can look back and know, okay, we are hitting our goals, or we're not. Something has to change. We're able to constantly evaluate, and then make decisions, make changes as needed with our goals.
So good.
Okay, here's a second. You want to add one more thing? Sorry.
No, it's just helpful because, like what you said, constantly evaluating. Because I feel like some of us are so afraid to even do that evaluation. Like, I do not want to look at, like, the red line, So, but I don't want to look at that. I did not perform as well. Well, why?
Yeah.
So don't be afraid, and that's what I'm learning. I'm speaking to me. Like, failure is okay, or that growth, that progress, it's not just going to be like this. It's going to be like this. It's going to be like this.
Yeah.
So
that's so good. And honestly, like, this is how I look at it. So I compare myself to other pastors who are pastoring very large churches. And oftentimes I'll sit in my office and I'll think, when I have to make a decision, or I'm afraid to make a decision, or look at data, and I'll say something like, what would so-and-so do if they were in my shoes? Well, they'd make the right decision. They would evaluate. They would put the measurables in place. They would make the hard decision. Like, it's a life lesson for it's just leadership. Like, you, as a leader, you have to deal with the data. If you don't, like, the data's going to bite you, as I often tell our staff. Like, you can't avoid it. Like, it's your friend. It's just information. And, like, that's how we look at our goals for ourselves. Like, it's not personal. It's just what does the data actually say? Are we hitting our goals or are we not?
It's good.
Fair? Okay. Here's second number 2. How do we balance? And this is we communicate effectively. Here's some good notes. I'll let you dive after it. Communication is absolutely key to maintaining a balance between work and family. So we set aside time weekly, calendars aligned, daily, oftentimes making sure we're all on the same page.
Yes.
And honestly, just about our schedules and any potential conflicts. But here's the thing I want you to talk about is that the only way this is effective is if we have to be open and honest about our needs and our expectations for one another.
Yeah.
So jump after that.
So yeah, as even we actually talked about this, I think, this week about, I feel like we're going into our 15-year anniversary, and I remember not everyone being vulnerable, everyone being like, oh, I'm not perfect for you or whatever. And it's taken a long time to be like, no, he accepts me as who I am and loves me anyway. And but that also has come from my own self-growth. Like, I'm complete in who God has created me to be. And I don't have to be. You
don't need me to complete you.
Exactly. And he's always said that. I hate it when people say, I need you to complete me, or he completes me. And that speaks volumes to me, because I don't need Jared, but he's an amazing partner in this life together. It's such a gift. So, yeah. But if he's not in my brain. He's told me this before. I'm not in your brain to know what you want. So you just saying it's fine. And it's not fine because he knows me.
Hey, how many of you know this? When your wife says, hey, how you doing? Fine. She's not fine.
But sometimes I just need to process how I'm feeling, so I'm not like, meh. But yeah, so we've learned through that. Like, he does back off and like lets me have my moment, because I'm like, I need to self-reflect.
I'll always say, like, so when you're ready to tell me what's really going on, let me know. Yes. And I've learned, like, not to pester you about it.
Right.
And you usually, like, will open up. And
yeah,
but again, that is not the way that it was the first 10 years of our marriage. That's probably in the last 5 years we've had lots of growth in that area.
For sure.
I would say.
But that's also, I think it's coming to the point where I am okay with Amanda, and I am not perfect, and I have my issues, but he loves me anyway, and I'm going to be
likewise,
open.
It's the same.
Yeah. So it's just I just would encourage you, like, talk to your spouse. Tell them how you're feeling. Let them know, like, this bothers me, or this is something well,
I think that's important too. Like, I think now I'm going to put on my profession, my hat.
Yes.
Like, so many people get to a hard part in their marriage, and they're so willing to like throw in the towel and like, we're done, we can't communicate. And there was moments when it wasn't perfect between us, but getting on the other side of that and self-growth of realizing, oh my gosh, like it's way better today, like 15 years in than it's ever been. Like this is I think it's the best.
Yes.
And if we would have just, well, it's hard and we don't like each other right now in these moments, because that always happens in marriage, man, we wouldn't be on the other side and the joy and just the fruit that we have. And in meaning that, like, you're you, I'm me, but I mean, it's
and
the
understanding
best.
what season of life we're in.
Huge.
Three kids under 3. I'm going to be exhausted. We're little like living on fumes right now.
Yeah.
So that it's just interesting. I wish I could encourage every season of life is going to have its moments, but I would encourage if you're in that season, like just be mindful of your other spouse. Kind of take yourself out of the equation and be like, what are their needs? Trying to be unselfish with it.
And the only way you can do that, go back to the point, is like you have to communicate. If I can't read your mind, you can't read mine.
Right.
The only way to say what does Amanda need right now, and that's a vulnerable moment, right? Because like you don't want to seem weak or needy, and I don't want to do the same thing either. But there's moments that I'll say to you, like, hey, I'll be honest with you, I don't feel like we're connecting. I feel like you're always on your phone, like taking care of the business.
Yeah.
You say the same thing to me. I feel like everybody gets your best, and you come home and I get your second best. Well, thank God you're communicating that, so we're able to actually have real and honest conversation. It's the only way. You have to be honest with your spouse. That's how you balance. Okay, here's the third thing. We're gonna move. I don't want to keep people long. Here's the third thing. And this is a good one. We share responsibilities. Now, it's gonna be really practical, meaning like literally, we divide household responsibilities because we're both busy between each other. So cooking, cleaning, taking care of the children. I mean, meaning like we're running them back and forth because all of our kids are in sports now. I mean, going back and forth, how do we balance it all? But we share the responsibilities. I just want to say something real quick. This is something I've learned. It used to drive me nuts. Amanda loading the dishwasher. Like, she just doesn't do it. Like, she just throws them in and then presses the button and expects them to be clean. And then, like, water sits in the bowls and stuff like this.
He's exaggerating it.
That is not true.
But like, it's
okay.
Whatever.
So I used to get really mad, and I'm like, why do you get mad? Like, I'll just do it. So I'm the dishwasher guy. I'm the laundry guy.
He measures it, so it's like perfectly placed.
The plates have to be perfectly aligned for them to get fully clean.
And honestly, sometimes I just like mess it up.
Yeah, I'm well aware.
It helps you like relax or like let things go.
Whatever. All I'm saying is we have found like what I do.
Yes.
So that's me.
It's
laundry is actually my thing. I do all the ironing. Like those are just because I think part of it is because I'm freaking OCD about so many things in my life. Like I don't want you touching.
Well, it's because he has a certain shirt he likes to wear, and if he wants it, and I'm not that person. I'm like, it'll be washed when it's time.
Like it's a certain shirt at the gym that I wear. I like to wear it almost every time I come to the gym.
And I'm like, so you're gonna do laundry every day? Okay.
We have 3 kids. It's not like I'm just wasting. It's just I'm throwing everything else in
Whatever.
there too.
Every time I see the laundry, that sweater's in it, and I'm like, okay,
it's a sweater. It's a sweatshirt.
A sweatshirt.
I'm just saying, like for this to work, to balance both what we're trying to do, is we have to balance the responsibilities.
And the kids are learning. They help fold.
For sure.
They're responsible for their rooms.
Can we just say crock-pot meals are amazing?
Yes. Planning ahead, meal planning. We do that together. He'll order food, then he'll help me. Like it's a team effort.
Can we just agree, like food delivery service is a game changer?
Yes.
I mean, that's
if
been
they get
the
it right.
best. Well, they mostly get it right.
Yeah.
Like huge. I'm the Costco guy. I actually like going to Costco. You hate going to Costco.
No.
Those are just.
Gives me anxiety.
But that's what I'm saying, though. Like,
but see how it works.
Instead of asking you to do that with me, like she doesn't like it, so why would I ask her to do it?
That's true.
I actually like going
Appreciate
there.
it.
So I like going there for the pizza and the hot dogs. Let's be honest.
He's like an old man. I
take my time.
Yeah, I can't.
I have to wear my slippers
and I'm like,
into
I can't do
I don't do that, I promise.
No, but it's good. to share.
Balancing
That I know
responsibility.
people ask, like, how do you do it? I go, we are a team.
Yeah.
He's taking Grayson to football. I'm taking Gianna to volleyball. We're meeting in the middle, having dinner, whatever.
And that's a huge thing too, right?
He goes dinner on Tuesdays because I'm here all day.
Well, like a priority is though we're still like making time for family dinners.
Yep.
We're still trying to like.
They're fast.
Yeah, but.
But yes.
Well, the only way that's possible is because we share the responsibilities.
Mm-hmm.
Fair
That's
enough.
helpful. Mm-hmm.
All right, here's the last one.
Last one.
There's more, but these are the top 4 that we thought about. Here's the last one, and this is a big one. Maybe not the most important, but it's really big. And I'll let you talk about this one the most because this is going to be this is the hardest one for you.
Oh.
Is you have to be flexible with everything.
Why is it the hardest one for me?
Because sometimes unexpected things happen that can throw you off balance.
Literally
Be
was
prepared
just talking about this.
to adjust your schedule and responsibilities as needed to accommodate these changes.
I'm not good with change. Type A.
I'm type A too, but I definitely let things roll off my back.
So
Much easier
I'm
to
just going to give a perspective, and maybe people will be on Team Amanda, or maybe they'll be Team Jared. So for some reason,
in the chat, right? Team J or Team A? Here we go.
Okay, I'm all like a couple, weeks ago, he's on a trip, and I'm going to be home by Sunday morning. Awesome. So in my head, I can get through this. This is going to be good. I have like a schedule. Everything's great. Oh man, they changed my flight to Monday morning. And I was like upset. And I'm like, that seems to happen a lot. And I feel like you're very vague on when you're coming and going with these flights. And I'm just like, so as a wife that has these expectations that you're going to be home and I can breathe when you're back, I just need not the night before, oh man,
okay,
that's when I was
happened.
about to lose my mind.
So, with all the changes, I was flying Southwest. I was at a Indiana-Michigan basketball game after my trip. I met a friend over there. It's in Cincinnati, drove over to Bloomington. I had the last flight out, and we've flown that flight many, many times.
That's true. I remember. I do remember.
So, it's a 3-hour time change. So, it leaves at 9, but you're back in around 9:30, 10 o'clock. Flown that flight many times because we used to live in Indianapolis. So I just think it's done. And yes, Southwest has emailed me telling me they've changed the flights. She's asking, when are your flights coming in? When are you coming back in? They moved it to Sunday morning at 6 a.m. Not knowing. So I was still in at 6 a.m., but I just wasn't there at night, getting up in the morning. Yeah. At night, getting up with the kids.
So it doesn't seem like a big deal, but it's just one thing that I'm like, that set me off. And I'm like, it's really not that big of a deal, but more communication in that area would have been helpful. But I get where you're coming from as well. But I just was like, oh, it's just like that.
Yeah. So let's go back to the point of like the reason why this works is that we have to be flexible with these types of things.
Yes. You have to be, because stuff like that is going to happen on a day-to-day basis. Even with kids, I feel like they have taught me so much with having to be flexible. Every child is so different.
I mean, yeah. Just like this week, I had my whole Monday plan, and then somebody comes into the office with a emergency, right, and change the day for me. Like so I could either like get so bent out of shape about it, or I can say, all right, like obviously we just have to readjust some things. It doesn't mean I don't get frustrated, just like you do. Doesn't mean that I want to like punch somebody in the face, because I do. But I think one of the things that we've learned is like, hey, we have to keep our schedules open-handed. Like things are going to change,
yeah, especially
with kids. And then can I just add one more that I think is so important?
Mm-hmm.
And I hope you understand what I'm saying here, is for this to work in a marriage, it's like we have to make time for each other. Like date nights, like the romantic, the intimacy parts are just as key and just as important with all of this. You want to say anything about that? I mean, just how important it is to keep the fire burning.
For real, it's for both of us. I need it just as much as he does. And I feel like he sees me and connects with me when we're like together. So it's so important.
So good.
It's been honestly the best. So,
Yeah.
but that's because of that self growth of being okay to be vulnerable, being okay to. He loves me. I don't have to be this perfect person. He accepts me. I
And
accept
you-
him.
You do the same?
All of it. I love it.
I have no idea what that means, but I'll take it.
No, but for real, I'm not trying to make it a joke. It's a good thing.
It is good. So hope that helps.
Yeah.
That is probably the biggest question that we get more often than not is how do you balance it all? And we are on the journey. We don't have it perfect. Don't
No,
think that these
obviously.
5 points are perfect because they're not, and we don't always hit them every single time. But that is how we've tried to manage this.
And whatever season you're in,
Yeah.
it's just
And I think it'd be fair if you ask us 5 years from now, we probably might give you some different answers
for sure.
because we'll be in a different season.
And be okay with this season. Don't wish it away. I feel like that's so easy
That's
to
really good
do.
point. Yeah, that's good.
You're gonna have the ups and downs, but don't wish it away.
Enjoy the journey.
Hmm.
Not always just the destination. Like the journey is where you learn and you
A
grow.
lot of learning. Yeah.
Really good. I love you.
Love you too.
Fun times.
This was a lot of fun.
Balance.
Flexibility.
Come on, somebody. See you next time.
Bye, friends.